Hi guys, so we've talked about what is sepsis, we've talked about the signs and symptoms, we've said about the statistics, but we haven't actually said about how we can save lives. And we haven't also talked about what are the complications that can occur. So we're going to talk about the complications first, and then going to go into something called the Sepsis 6. The Sepsis 6 has been around for the last 20 years, and it's a checklist that can help save lives. So when it comes to sepsis, it can cause tissue damage because of the lack of oxygen going to the tissues. Because, as I was saying before, your body, all it thinks about is oxygen and nutrients to the brain, the heart and the lungs. Basically, they're the three. It's the triad, basically. Everything else is an afterthought. So, hands, toes, feet, legs, they're an afterthought. So are your kidneys, because kidney failure is a big one. Having to go into a coma. So amputation, gangrene, ulceration. And the reason why I say that is because you need to ensure that the person is on a pressure altering mattress, because otherwise you can get pressure sores in those particular areas all over the body, and we don't want that to happen. Basically, you're also going to be on a whole load of blood thinning medication, because if you think of being on a plane, they always say about keeping moving, because you're more at risk of DVT, which is deep vein thrombosis, and that is something that, because you're lying down still, you're not moving, you're more at risk of a DVT. So heparin and warfarin are really kind of key to help prevent ulceration, which can then lead to amputation because of the area going gangrene, organ failure, and also death, which we don't want. We, as healthcare professionals, we don't want people to die, and we want people to have as good a quality of life as they possibly can do. And this is where the Sepsis 6 comes in. So if we have somebody who comes in with what looks like a raging infection, or a line coming up where the vein is, which is something called cellulitis, we know that we need to get somebody in there quick, because we need to help save their life, because that infection is going into the blood, and we don't want that to go into the heart, lungs, or the brain, because we don't want people to have a stroke, because that's one thing I also forgot to say. So when somebody gets into A&E, there will be a senior consultant that will be called within the first hour. And also, if you go back to the signs and symptoms, if you remember, we were talking about the lack of oxygen in the blood. So you will be put on 100% oxygen. You'll also have an IV access. And why is that? Well, basically because, one, they need to take the bloods. So they need to check your full blood count. They need to check your inflammatory markers for signs of infection, so that they can actually then say which infection it is. You'll have a liver and kidney test. You'll have your glucose tested. You'll have your blood lactate level as well tested. And that is something that they will do on a regular basis. You'll then, so not only will they be able to take blood, but they'll put stuff in. So they're able to then give you something called a broad spectrum antibiotic. This is the most important thing. And why is it broad spectrum? Broad spectrum means that it kind of gets an entire rainbow worth of infection, and it will try and get it. But what the bloods will have done the blood tests will have done, they will actually then be able to grow whatever is that infection to then treat it with a really specific antibiotic. But they're doing it through the vein because it gets around the body quicker than if you take it orally. I know with me, I was not able to take anything orally because my throat was already that swollen. So you'll have your antibiotics, you'll have fluids, you'll have your heparin, you'll have steroids, and they will also measure your urine as well, because they want to make sure that your kidney is working properly. So those things that I just said, so your senior clinician, your oxygen levels, your IV, having your blood checked, antibiotics, fluids, and monitoring and blood taken, they are all done within the first hour. And if that's the case, you have a higher risk of being here still, because we don't want 11 million people to die of sepsis each year. We don't want 1 in 5 deaths to do with sepsis. And if we are able to treat people better, we can help save lives. So with that, if you go to the next video, we're talking about post-sepsis syndrome, and that will be our last video. And so well done, you're more than halfway through. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.